What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Dusty, the Airstream Trailer Renovation Restoration. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the restoration of Airstream Letters. Now, if you're in your process of restoring your Airstream and you need to redo your letters, this video is exactly for you. Doesn't matter if they've already still have the bolts attached just like this on the back end. Doesn't matter if they've corroded off and are missing. Our goal is to get it back to this position of nice and shine, mounting bolts on the back end as such, and ready for paint in the inside, which will go royal blue for the Airstream colors. Now, talking about the bolts and the missing ones, what I'm going to utilize is actual hanger bolts, number 10 by 24 2 inches. It looks something kind of like this. And what I'm going to do is come over here and cut it off on the back end so that it looks something like this. The idea is then to take this back end right here and come in here and put it right back in its spot that it corroded off. And the way we're going to do that is by using a carbide end mill and a drill press. And we're going to drill just enough to go in there so that this bolt can seat in it. Once it's in there, we're going to do a weld on it all the way around. And from there, we'll clean it up and it'll be good to mount right back into place like new, if not actually better than the original mounts that were in here. With that, we'll then Loctite these into place back onto Dusty, and the letters will be like new. As you can see with the T that I've started with, you can already start to see the polishing of it. And that's exactly where I want it to be, so that I could tape it off and in the center color this, or paint it I should say, a royal blue, which is the color for Airstream Letters. So stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get this work started, and I'm going to show you step-by-step process, regardless if you need to just clean them up with the mounting bolts already attached, or if they're there, we will show you exactly what you need to do to replace those so that they're better than the original mounts themselves. So with that, let's go ahead and get this work started. Like as always, and I'll switch this over to time-lapse to get some of this started. Watch the notes in the video, just doing some of that explanations, and from there we will wrap it up towards the end. So with this, let's get it started, guys. Alright guys, for this particular episode we're going to be starting with the Dremel 4000. We're going to be using a small wire brush to start the cleaning process. From there, I like to use a speed right around 25 or so. Even 30 is okay, but somewhere right around there gives me a nice, clean, consistent cleaning path ahead of the polishing process. So let's get started. We'll go ahead and start cleaning this up. I've got it mounted in a vise, as you can see, but from here, we'll go ahead and start working this and maneuver around until we get all the sides cleaned up. So here we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start the first cut of polishing, which we're going to use a TR2 from Zephyr. It's a Tripoli compound. So it's going to be our first cut. Basically, I'm just using a kind of felt pad like this attached here. Put it in the Dremel, tighten it down. Now, when I use this compound, I usually put the speed down to 10 so I get the compound to stick on this pad. Get it real nice and slow. Hopefully you can see the actual felt pad start to change colors. Let me know that the compound's on there. Then I'll bring it up to about 25 to 30 again. Up 30. And then we'll start with the polishing now. Alright, now that we've got the first cut done, we'll go ahead and move to a moss green compound. That's going to be our second cut. So I'll go ahead and get this one changed out so we get to the other one. I don't cross-contaminate my working stuff, so I make sure that whatever compound I'm using goes directly to one pad and one pad only. Same thing as far as speeds. Get it up to a 10, get that compound in here. Now for the third one, I use, where's it, right here. It's this 4023E, it's a polishing cloth. Makes it nice, it's a quick disconnect. These just go on just like this. Sure, locked into place. Then I use a white compound from Zephyr. Same speeds. Alright, now let's wipe it down, see how it came out. Not too bad. Little mineral spirits. I'll clean that up real quick. Oh yeah. Clean up nice and perfect. From there we can paint it. This one's already got the mounts on there and they're pretty strong. I've been pressing on them side to side. They're not bending or moving, so that's good. One of the things we will do though, I'll have to grab it, we'll do the threads on this. They seem pretty stripped, so we'll go ahead and re-thread down on this. Give it a nice mount on there, something to bite on. But from there you can see, I mean, compared to from that's where we want. The outside's the most important part because obviously we're going to paint in the inside of this. So these outside edges are what is the most focus that I can see, or at least that I put on, which are all nice and clean. I'm not worried about these little dark spots in here, obviously, because the paint's going there. But as long as these outside edges are all nice and clean, as you can see, that's what we're looking for. So with that, let's go ahead and move over, and I will start the process of drilling and doing some tack welds on this just to show you that process. We'll wrap this video up, and this is exactly how we restore Airstream letters. Alright guys, now that we got it right here on the vise, you can see for the most part my level's hitting right where it needs to, across both ways, which is exactly where you want it for the letters. If I get my laser going, you can see it's dead center, right where the X marks the spot. Hopefully you can pick that up now. Now the goal is just to barely tap into this. We don't need to go too deep, just enough to get a seated position on the bolt. So let's go ahead and get this started. Nice and easy. All right, so I'm not going too deep. There's no need for it. You can see it's just hopefully, there we go. So it's not too deep. Let me grab the bolt, see what that looks like. So perfect. Seated in there nice and neat. We can do a nice little tack weld on that real quick. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Test it out, make sure. Perfect. All right, here we go. All right, see how that looks. Fits in there just perfect. Doesn't have to go too much, guys. Just enough to get that to go in there. All right, now that I've got it all cleaned up, nice and flush with the CNC carbide end mill, you can see that I can go ahead and place this at any given time when I'm ready for it. The way this works, you're just going to take this out, cut a piece of this stuff off that you need. Just go ahead and slice a little bit, just like that. Take what we need, cover the rest so it doesn't go hard on us, and put that aside. Knead this together. I like to use a glove because I don't like to get all the stuff kind of on my hand. It makes it a kind of a pain to sometimes scrub off later on, especially if you don't have like the right soap to scrub, like an orange or something. So we'll go ahead and keep kneading this together until we get a nice consistency color. Just like that. All right. Now what we're going to do is take half of that, stick this all the way through, get it nice and set up, just like that. Come back in just a second. Get a little bit of this for the second one. Put that through. Just like that. All right. Now what I do is I use a nice little flat screwdriver to make sure it's nice and even. Doesn't stick out past the actual letter itself. Knead it and press it all in. Get it nice and even. We can come back with a sander once it's dry and sand if you want to clean it up. It's up to you, but it's going to be hidden, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like on this back side as long as it's flush and doesn't stick out past the back end of this letter. If you got to push some up to the front, do that. Make sure it's all nice, just like this. All right, we'll let that sit for just a second. Get the second one. All right, we're gonna let this sit for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm gonna take it out to the trailer. Make sure that the bolt holes for the mounting bolts line up to the holes that are already pre-drilled in the back of the rear panel. That's where these letters go. So we're gonna test that out, make sure that works. And if it does, then we'll be good. So let this harden up just a little bit longer. It's starting to really harden up this piece right here. You can start to feel it. This stuff works really, really good, especially for this type of application. So if you don't have these mounting bolts, obviously they start to come off, they fall off. This is a great way to do it. You can find these hanger bolts. I'll link them in the description, but I bought them at Lowe's. Just a couple bucks. I want to say they were like $1.09 for a bag or whatnot. It's a number 10 by 24 by 2 inches long. All I did was cut off the actual screw part of it. That's the part that we did not need, so that we can get it to look just like that. All right, now it's starting to harden up a little bit. Check this piece out. Oh yeah, you can really feel it right here. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go make sure it lines up and everything's fit, and then we'll come back and start prepping it for paint. All right, now that we got it all cleaned up and polished, what we're going to do is we're going to paint the inside of this. We're going to use a Rust-Oleum Royal Blue, and before we do that, we need to tape all this off so we don't get the paint on the outer edges, which I don't want painted for this one. So with that, I'll tape that off. We'll put in a time lapse, watch me paint it, and then we'll show you the final product once it's dry. All right, now that we've got 3 coats of paint, 2 coats of a clear matte, we are ready to take the tape off and see how these came out. So let's take a look and see if I like the end results. So for the most part, it actually came out pretty good. Actually pretty happy with it. Get this last one off. Let's see here. There we go. So there you go. There's one letter. Do a little cleanup on the edges where the tape kind of went underneath some of this, but for the most part I like this. See the other one? See how these results came out? Yeah, I really like this results, guys. So this is another way of how to do Airstream letters. We will continue with this process. But for at least this video, you can see exactly how this was done. And I have just a little cleanup, which is okay, because the cleanup is on the part that is the shiny chrome. And that's all that's makes it really easy. But for the most part, there's the letters. They look great. Absolutely great. Pretty happy with it. All right, guys, if you haven't already, go down, hit that subscribe button, share this video with your family and friends. And as always, until next time, this is Danny signing out.